guy who could treat me right. Way oh, oh. Boy, take a chance, will you let me ride? Way oh, oh. I could be the best thing in your life. Way oh, oh. You got me singing. Way oh, oh. You look like a guy who could treat me right. Way oh. Boy, take a chance, will you let me ride? Way oh.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Conservation Street. Today we're joined by none other than Brent Leo Smith, who I'm sure you all know. How you doing, Brent?
Good. Yeah, we've had an interesting morning. I was out with wild dogs and lions this morning, and then had a bit of rain, and now the sun's back out shining.
Oh, brilliant. Nice stuff. It's raining over here, so it's a bit rubbish.
It's always raining.
It is. We'll get cracking. I think we'll start with your YouTube channel, Painted Dog TV. Was it over a year ago you started that?
Yeah, so it's January 2019.
The rise has been brilliant, hasn't it? 16,000 subscribers already.
Yeah, Joe, it's and a lot of people think that's easy. It's taken quite a lot of work. So Viam and I started Painted Dog TV in January 2019, and we started it for quite a few different reasons. We actually had the idea while we were working for Safari Live for a while there. We were in the Masai Mara, and Liam and I spent an inordinate amount of time together. I think our longest stint together was 28 hours, 29 hours on the vehicle, following a pride of lions in the Masai Mara. And obviously many conversations happen when you spend that amount of time. And we thought, one day once we were done with the Safari Live thing, we'd try it ourselves. And it started off as a bit of a joke, and then it became a little bit more serious till we decided, let's just do it.
Yeah, definitely. Was Safari Live kind of the start for you?
In the filming industry, it was, I spent the most time in that. I'd started sort of slowing down and working as a guide and stuff like that a few years before. And still wanted to be in the bush, but I didn't know if I really wanted to guide people as much anymore. And I did that for a good 12, 13 years and all over different lodges and different countries. And I started to move away from guiding people and started moving into the film industry. I worked on a few shoots as a sort of a dog's body tripod carrier, second cameraman on a Animal Planet shoot, and a BBC shoot, and a couple of different shoots. So I started sort of getting into the industry, and I thought I was going to end up more as a cameraman than a presenter. And then the opportunity of Safari Live came on, and I don't think Liam and I would have done what we did today if we hadn't have gone to Safari Live. We learned some incredible amount from Graham and his team, and we made some incredible friends while we were there. So it was definitely a very worthwhile, just 4 years of our lives.
Yeah, look, I've seen a few episodes of Safari Live, because when I didn't have a job, I used to sit and thought, you know what, I watch Safari Live, and I used to enjoy it. A lot of people do enjoy it, don't they, and tune in a lot.
They do, yeah, and I think they're doing an amazing thing over this lockdown period as well, keeping people aware of what's out there, and for people who do have 6 hours a day to watch a live game live, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So, you recently been following, is it A Tale of Two Mothers? I've tried to watch a couple of episodes of that when I've had a chance.
Yes.
And that, your latest episode was out Sunday. I had a good watch of that. That was good. Where did that start? Did that just happen? You thought, right, we've got to film this, or?
Well, so when we started, we weren't actually sure what we were doing. We thought we were going to be able to sort of put out an episode a week, and we sort of realized quickly, two of us doing everything, it wasn't quite possible. So it sort of evolved, and we had this unique opportunity on the Reach Break Game Reserve where I'm sitting right now, and there was cheetah reintroduced and lions reintroduced into the area, and we knew they were going to give birth at some time, and it just happened that they gave birth at a similar time. So it was a nice story to be able to follow a cheetah mother and the challenges she faces compared to a lion mother and the challenges she faces. Obviously, the cheetah faces a lot more problems than the lions. As we can see now, all 4 little lion cubs are still doing very well, and there's only 2 cheetah cubs left.
Oh, and it was the 5 originally, was it?
I guess, yeah.
Oh, that's not good, is it? But like you said, the chances are a lot slimmer than lions. So
Yeah, so for this part of the world, getting 2 out of 5 to almost adulthood is above the average for mortality.
all right.
So
So
that she's done very well.
she's actually doing really good there, isn't she? So I saw you released some wild dogs as well not too long ago. Was it a couple of months back?
And that was amazing. That's the wild dogs I saw this morning.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. So the Melita pack, and we did that in conjunction with the Endangered Wildlife Trust, who is one of our definitely our preferred conservation partner. And we've got some very exciting projects that we're working on with wild dogs and the Endangered Wildlife Trust at the moment. But I'm going to have to keep a bit quiet about that. But there's some exciting stuff coming in the near future. But yeah, so the Melita pack of wild dogs, they weren't called the Melita pack then. They wandered into an area where there's commercial farming, and there was a threat that they might get shot or snared while in that area. So the Endangered Wildlife Trust took the chance to go dart them and move them into a boma, actually, on the reserve I'm sitting here. And the plan was to eventually actually move those wild dogs to Mozambique, but unfortunately that didn't come to fruition. But we managed to raise the funds to cover the whole cost of the darting and moving through our incredible viewers on Painted Dog. So we exceeded the amount of money we needed to move those wild dogs and to feed them and house them while we decided what was going to happen with them. And then eventually, because of permit issues and politics, it looked like those dogs were never going to be able to be moved to Mozambique. So our wild dog pack here had actually moved off naturally a couple of months ago. So it was decided we just release them here. And they've settled really nicely. I mean, they did, one went out for a day or two, but came back. But yeah, so they've done really well. There's 10 of them. One, we're hoping that they're going to den this year if they find some new boyfriends.
That'll be nice.
And yeah, so we actually broadcast that live.
Oh,
and as far as we know, was a world first ever. The release of Wild Dogs live. So, and of course, to add to the drama, the 3 male lions arrived and chased the wild dogs.
That must have been a bit.
Yeah,
that must have been terrifying for the situation you was in with the dogs there and the lions.
At one stage, I was standing between the lions, shouting at the lions, while the dogs were behind me, trying to give the dogs a chance to get away. Now, of course, because there was meat, we used meat to pull them out of the boma.
Yeah.
And of course, the lions heard the sound of them feeding and came charging in.
Yeah, so natural behaviours kicked in, and then that was the start of it all. But luckily, they got away.
A bunch of cars around and stuff like that. So, but fortunately, none of the dogs were harmed, and the lions got a little bit of a few bites of a free impala that they stole from the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was very exciting.
If you took part in any, well, I imagine you have took part in any other relocations. Is there any memorable ones?
Oh, yeah, I've been very lucky. I've been involved in quite a lot of this stuff since I was young. I think I went on my first rhino relocation. I must have been about 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
So, my dad has been involved in the conservation for a very long time. So we're quite lucky in that stage that we've been able to go along and experience this stuff. I'm trying to think. Oh, recently, one of the more exciting ones is one of the male lions here. His collar needed to be changed. He'd grown too quickly. And we darted him, but while he was still groggy, he nearly ran off a massive cliff.
Wow.
And still awake, and we were holding him by the tail while his 2 brothers were growling at us from behind. There's actually, you can see that somewhere on the YouTube channel as well. On Painted Dog, there's that the male lion gets a new collar or whatnot. That was quite exciting. But I've done quite a lot of rhino relocations. One of the more interesting things I did quite a few years ago, just as an observer though, is we watched the laparoscopic vasectomy of an African elephant. It's one of the ways they control elephant populations in small fenced reserves. If you do use hormonal treatment on the females, it can cause quite a lot of problems in terms of herd structures and hierarchies and that. So what they do is they just basically snip the boys, and he carries on thinking he's still king of the jungle, but he's shooting blanks. So it was quite the process. I mean, darting him, putting him up on a crane, and then the vets going in with laparoscopes and cameras and stuff and tying his tube. That was quite exciting. Oh, trying to think. Moved quite a lot of lions, quite a few leopards. Probably one of the scarier ones was up in northern Botswana in the Nyanti Chobe area. It was in the I suppose back end of Chobe. We darted a massive male lion to take genetic samples and stuff from as part of an ongoing genetic study on lions by APCRO, the African Predator Conservation Research Organization. A mouthful that one. And while we were working on the one sleepy lion, we didn't realize we had a friend close by, and all of a sudden, in the pitch dark, there was this boom,
Oh yeah.
as his coalition mate gave us a growl. And recently we've done a lot of stuff with rhinos recently, black and white rhinos with the dehorning. Unfortunately, due to the poaching situation, we do have to dehorn the rhinos in the reserve about 18 months.
Yeah, it's really sad that has to happen, really, isn't it? To be honest, they can't really live naturally without people.
It is.
Yeah.
It is very sad.
Yeah, very sad. So with that elephant,
No
it must have been a whole lot of equipment needed in terms of the size and everything.
Yeah. A big flatbed truck with a massive crane that could lift the elephant up so the vets could stand on the flatbed and work on the elephant. Yeah, so it was a lot of equipment. So the helicopters had to chase the elephant down to an area where the heavy machinery could get to, because quite often you can't. And that was quite a palaver, and it was very fascinating to be able to watch that.
Yeah. So I think it's good that there's a lot of people around the world that donate to conservation, because without people like that, because I can imagine the money involved for things like this is unbelievable.
Oh, exactly. Even moving a pack of wild dogs, just the veterinary costs and stuff, and not even moving them far, it runs into the thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Really is amazing. What's next for Painted Dog TV? Have you got anything that you can tell us?
Yes. So quite a few of you might know about Bucket, the lion cub, which is a lion that we rescued a year ago yesterday, and returned to its mother. So hopefully Bucket, we're busy cutting Bucket the lion cub into a 1-hour documentary. So we're hoping we're going to be able to sell that. So keep a lookout on TV somewhere. It might be coming out. And then we are very excited to open up a new area. So for the last year, we've only been filming in the Rietspoort Game Reserve, which is a fenced reserve. It's about 6,000 hectares, give or take a couple of hundred hectares here or there. And we're going to continue to keep filming here, but we're opening up a second filming area, which is part of the Greater Kruger National Park. So open to Kruger, so we get lots of chance of elephants and maybe some more leopards and stuff like that. So that will actually be happening in the next 10 or 12 days. We're going to start filming there. So that's very, very exciting.
Well, that'll be nice. So a lot more stories to follow for you there, isn't it?
The Tale of Two Mothers is coming to an end. However, there will be lots more tales to come.
Definitely to come. Was it always wildlife for you? I know you was involved in it from a young age, or did you ever take any different paths and think, oh?
I did very briefly after high school. I did what everyone's supposed to do and go to university, and I studied law, but that didn't work out well. I dropped out quite quickly. And then went.
I mean, I can tell with you, it's all about wildlife. So to hear you went off to law is a bit strange. It's unexpected, really.
I got very bored very quickly.
Sure, you'd rather be in the position you are now.
Yes. So yeah, and then after that, I travelled around Europe a little bit, just backpacking type things, and then I moved up to Zambia and worked in Zambia. On islands in Lake Kariba and up in the northern Kafue, and then worked for my dad in Botswana, and then it was decided I needed to broaden my horizons, so off I went down to the Kruger National Park, to Singita, then Londolozi, then Tanzania, then Congo, Gabon, back to Botswana for a while, and then back to South Africa, and then back to Kenya. And there's a chance might be going back to Gabon again later this year.
Oh, awesome. That'll be good. But is there any, obviously, because like you say, you've just done a lot of travelling, is there any that you'd always put above the rest, or are they all equal to you the amazing.
Oh, so I got so many favorite places. But for me, I think Zambia and Botswana are two incredibly special places. What I think I'd love to visit all these places, but if I have to think about where would I like to live, is how I sort of try base it. So Zambia, Botswana, and the low fault of South Africa, where I'm sitting right now, it is absolutely incredible. I mean, we've got a massive mountain here. It goes up a couple of thousand meters, and below it, I'm sitting following lions and cheetahs and wild dogs.
Yeah.
So I think the low veld of South Africa, particularly the area around Hoedspruit, and the Timbavati, Kaseri, and then the northern Botswana, in particular the area around the Kondo River, where I spent most of my teenage years. It's absolutely magical. Northern Kafue in Zambia, which very few people ever go to, is particularly stunning. I was lucky to spend quite a bit of time there in my early 20s. Zulu, it's endless. And it's still places I haven't got to yet.
Definitely. Is there anywhere that you've got plans to go to next?
From a work point of view, hopefully we will be possibly going up into Gabon later in the year, but that's and maybe Botswana, and maybe we're supposed to be in Kenya next month, but obviously that's all been due to the COVID virus that's been postponed. So we'll probably only get up to there next year again. It depends on lots of things, but yeah, if something comes around and there's always an opportunity, Liam and I are not scared to take a chance and go somewhere new and different and do things that people haven't done before.
Yeah, that's what I like about your channel. It's adventurous, and you're willing to go to the extreme to bring that content to your viewers, which is it's really nice to see.
And don't tell the big production companies how much it costs, because their budgets are, I think, what they work on a budget for 1 hour, we could run our whole channel for over 2 years.
Really? Keep that on quiet then.
Yes, yeah, they don't want to know that.
No,
it's going to be interesting now over the next one.
Especially if you can take it to different areas, because it's nice to show the differences, isn't it? And differences in wildlife, because although you think Africa, there's this there, but in different areas there's different animals to see. So.
Yeah, and also even with the same animals, a lot of animal behavior is area specific rather than species specific. So the lions here might behave differently to the lions less than 100 kilometers away, just because the external factors, the soil types, the trees, the prey types, are all different.
Yeah. So there's more things to see, and there's different stories to follow with different animals in different areas.
And you never stop learning. I never stop learning. I learn something new every day.
Yeah. So from viewing to reading, like for people who aren't out there, even from reading, they can learn so much. But it's a lot of people I don't think realise that. Because when I was younger, I read a lot, and that's probably why I have quite a bit of knowledge compared to the average person. Anyway, compared to you, I've got very little knowledge, but to the average person, I probably have a greater knowledge, because a lot of people don't read anymore, do they?
No. And the world is changing, and there's lots of stuff to read, and hopefully one day when we have the capacity and the stuff, we will definitely try to do some education type stuff, so and based at kids and that. But unfortunately, there's only our whole team consists of 4 people at the moment. So there's myself, Liam, and Zander, or Eggsy, as most people have heard him called. Eggsy is our editor and also a cameraman. And then there's Charles, who makes sure we don't spend too much money. He's our financial director. And generally just helps us with the stuff. Liam and I wouldn't have a clue how to look at a balance sheet or a spreadsheet. We know how to go out and find animals and film them.
Yeah, the important side, managing the money.
Yes, the very important side. Probably far more important than the finding the animal side.
Definitely. Keeps you running, doesn't it? Like you say, you have a well-connected fan base, which is nice to see as well, because they do give you a lot of support on them. Yeah,
and one thing that's I can just say about our fans is they're really interested in the real issues. And when Vim and I started Anti-Dog TV, we said from the beginning that on the conservation stuff, like the work we do as Endangered Wildlife Trust or whatnot, we don't charge for any of that. And one of my biggest sort of bugbears about a lot of the documentary filming industry and whatnot is that it's all great to look at this absolutely spectacular blue chip, beautiful lions hunting in slow-mo through the Serengeti, but you don't actually understand a lot of the issues and stuff that's behind it. The industry is getting better, but I still feel that there's it's sort of an afterthought to focus on the conservation side. And the industry is still very much more focused on getting out the beautiful movie. Whereas from our point of view, we don't want to be scared of talking about the hard issues and dealing with them. And that's where our fan base comes in. They're incredible. And I would say our fan base, on average, is in terms of wildlife, and for people, a lot of people who've never actually even set foot in Africa are incredibly well educated and well read on the different issues and stuff like that, and actually have a good understanding, which is amazing because we can have incredible conversations with our fans and really tackle some of the more serious issues that often are avoided on a lot of other shows or other platforms.
Yeah, it's amazing, really is. Is there any career highlights for you?
I'm trying to think.
I imagine you've got so many, but
I think in the last little while, I never in my life thought I'd ever pick up a wild live lion cub and return it to its mother. So I mean that is definitely a highlight. Rescuing good old Bucket. Obviously, for those that don't know, Bucket is called Bucket because I moved her from where I caught her back to where her mom's den was in a bucket. Normally used for transporting venomous snakes like mambas and cobras.
Yeah.
we put the lion in a bucket. So I mean there's so many. I mean, sitting on a beach in Central Africa with elephants feeding and walking down the surf, seeing chimpanzees that have never seen a human being before, from the Safari Live days, habituating leopard cubs till we could sit 4 or 5 meters away from Shangila and Hosanna. That was absolutely astounding. I mean, just Mara, Southern Salou. There's just so many highlights and so many wonderful experiences that I just can't really put my finger on one. I think possibly actually going way back to my first memory. My first memory is of an elephant. So that probably said a lot. We were camping in northern Botswana, and I was just over 2 years old, and I don't remember this part. Apparently, I wandered away from where everyone was, and there was a big elephant bull. And my dad turned around and saw me having a conversation 5 meters away, talking to this big elephant standing up. And he ran up and very calmly talked to the elephant, picked me up, and outside gave me a clip over the head for wandering off to the elephant. But strangely enough, all I remember is the elephant and the smack.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah.
The smack.
That's actually my first memory from when I was probably around just over 2 years old.
So that's the one that really does stand out for you.
Mm.
Always
Yes.
the first memory, isn't it? Like, you're never going to forget that first time.
It is. That is very special. And I mean, whereas from then I was sort of fated to go follow around elephants and lions and things for the rest of my life.
Yeah, amazing. I know you're a bit of an avid fisherman.
Yeah.
You do like your fishing. Is there like an area where you prefer to go fishing, like near you, or is there somewhere you like to really travel to go and get some fish?
I will fish anywhere. I will fish anywhere. I really enjoy fishing on the Blyder River, close to here at the moment. It is the most difficult fishing I've ever done, and mostly I'm a fly fisherman, and I cannot figure out these yellows. I've been tying all sorts of different flies to try and catch them. But in terms of Gabon's got incredible fishing, tarpon, Kibera snapper, and giant African threadfin. Tigerfish always a favorite. And friends of mine have recently started fishing a river in the Central African Republic called the Chinko, which is home to Goliath tigerfish, which is something on my bucket list that I would definitely travel.
Yeah, awesome. Big teeth.
Yes, very big teeth. Other than that, if there was a puddle that had fish in it next to me, I would fish in it.
Oh, brilliant. I like fishing. I've not been fishing for years now, but I used to go quite regularly. Over here, it's mainly coarse fishing, so your carp and roach, bream, and things like that. But you have really how can I put it? The fish you have over there compared to over here. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we're quite lucky. So the fish I fish for the most, because it's just close to home, is yellowfish, which is an indigenous barb species.
Yeah.
They fight very hard. So you just got to be careful in the areas we fish for the crocodiles and hippos as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is there any, whilst you've been fishing, have you ever been caught off guard by anything else?
Yes. Hippo quite a few times. But generally when I've been on a boat or something like that. And you just got to be very conscious and aware when you're fishing in areas where there are hippo and crocodile. Always on guard. But yeah, no, I've lost a few fish to crocodiles over the years while I've been fighting them. Off it goes.
Pulled you in.
Yeah, off and with your little fly rod not quite strong enough to hold a 3-meter crocodile.
Yeah, I imagine. What's the biggest fish you've caught?
The biggest fish I've caught is a 54 or 4 kilogram Cabera snapper, which is a estuarine saltwater species from the Atlantic coast of Africa and also South America. But yeah, so that's probably the biggest fish I've caught. Yeah.
All right. Have you done it? So did you say that's fish, sea fishing that?
Oh, that was in an estuary, yeah. But yeah, saltwater.
Right.
I've done quite a bit of deep sea and stuff like that. But I generally don't bait fish, so it's much harder to catch on artificial lures and stuff like that. Caught some big barracuda over the years, big kingfish, but nothing really massive yet. Decent sailfish and marlin, but nothing over or really big yet.
Yeah, as I imagine it's the same. But do you look at marine life conservation as much as you do with land-based conservation?
Mostly because I am a fisherman, so I'm very aware about the marine-based conservation, and particularly on the African coastlines, which have been incredibly hard hit by illegal trawling from the Philippines and from the east.
Yeah, it's not nice, is it?
No.
Not at all. We'll move on to something else. I've got a question from one of your viewers who said, if you was going out in the bush camping, what are the 3 objects you would take? You can only take 3.
Number 1, a tent.
Yeah, definitely a tent.
So a lot of people do sleep out in the open and stuff like that. However, if you have the option to take a tent, take a tent, because you're just putting yourself at risk sleeping out in the open. Someone's got to stay awake. In a tent, you're completely safe. It's very unlikely that anything's going to happen to you in a tent. So number 1 is a tent. So only allowed to take 3 things camping. Well, it depends where I'm going camping then. But yeah, so a tent, my knife.
What about fishing
rod? So it depends where you're going.
Oh yeah.
So it depends. But yeah, but a fishing rod or probably matches, just because it takes so blooming long to start a fire with sticks. Or take your binoculars, because then you can start a fire with your binoculars by using them as a magnifying glass.
Yeah. Hey, we're on about 4 now. You cheating?
Yeah, I know. I gotta think. I've had to camp with very little before, but not by choice, with breakdowns and stuff like that. And I'd say probably the thing you miss the most is matches.
Yeah,
or light, fire.
Yeah, great. I forgot who that. Unfortunately, I didn't write down who asked that question. But yeah, I think we'll end it there. It's been brilliant to chat to you. I'll let you get on with your day. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you to everyone who's viewing this. Please head down below and subscribe, and I'll leave all Brent's socials and the link to his channel below. Thank you very much. Bye.
Cheers.